Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Tim's Time. Well, I'd like to thank Nate Weidman, one of our church members, for this week's Tim's Time idea. I saw him walking out of the sanctuary a couple weeks ago. He was carrying two large garden rakes and he was holding them up like they were extensions of his arm. And it reminded me of a story I heard a long time ago. It was a story about a large banquet table that was set in heaven as well as in hell. And as folks entered the room to the banquet table, they were every one strapped with paddles so that they could not bend their elbows. And so everyone sat down at the banquet table. The trouble was they couldn't really use their hands, and in hell things became really frustrated and the language turned sour and plates were knocked all over the place and food was strewn on the floor and people were bitter and frustrated and crying and angry, and then it turned violent. And then they flash forward to heaven, and there's quite a different scene in heaven as people are laughing and conversing and giving thanks around the banquet table. The difference was in heaven, each man or woman took his or her paddle, lifted the food off the plate, the table, the person at the table across from them, and they fed one another from the marriage supper of the Lamb. The context for me hearing that story came a couple years ago or so. I remember the man sharing that story the first time I heard it, and he said, to a large degree, each of us lives in our own world, in our own little circle. The circle is filled with people that we know and that we respect, and people that we don't necessarily get along with all the time, and others that we don't know or haven't met yet, but it's our world, our circles. And he said, to a large degree, we make the choice as to whether or not our circle becomes a little slice of heaven or a little picture of hell. And the basic difference is not how they respond or how they act or what they do or what even is on the table. The difference between those who experience a little bit of heaven or a lot of hell is what they do with their instruments of service. And so I just want to remind you of that this week. Last week we talked about God not being dead and the resurrection, and now we're heading into spring and summer. And let me just encourage you, as you live in your little world this week, for some of us it's bigger than others, but the world's relatively small, and the people in it are in need of food and of love and of help and of hope. And what you going to do? Take care of yourself and get frustrated and angry and violent, and we have enough of that in the world around us. How about we make the decision? How about you make the decision to serve? You just might find out that God's in it. Have a great week.